Okay friends, we're going to get started on the Urban Grit mini album. So I did a little survey online and asked the ladies, or on my WhatsApp group, asking the ladies whether they preferred a one bulk pack and additional paper or cardstock or whatever, and it came back that absolutely they only want to use one bulk pack. But it was a little bit of an error on my side because this album is big and it's going to need more than one paper pack, I think. So I have used a bulk pack so far, and I obviously haven't used the chippies, and I haven't used these 2 pages, or these 4 of them, which is the fussy cutting and the tags and stuff. Can't really use the reverse of them either, because the one is on the back of the frames on the back of the front cover, and the back of the tags is the fussy cutting and the florals. So I can't use any of those to add pages to this mini. And also there's also this. Okay, so let's get started. I have pretty much cut and prepared everything. It's all in order. It is all marked with what it's going to be used for, where it's going to be used, and pretty much that is all that I have left. So I probably will be bringing in something extra, just not too sure yet. I will be using these as well. The other thing that I have done, so before you get started as well, is just to make sure you keep all these little guys. Okay, so these words on these, so you need to keep all of these in a safe place. Don't get rid of them, don't put them anywhere. Alright, the other thing I suggest you do, and I'm not going to do it on camera, I'm going to actually pause the camera and start doing it, is I'm going to put I'm going to sand these just to give it a sort of a rustic kind of look. I want it to be rustic. I don't necessarily want it to be masculine, but I want it to have a sort of rustic appeal. So like an urban, that urban-y chic, more little urban-y, gritty, chic-y type of feel. So I've spoken way too much. I'm just going to show you, this is the front cover that I'm going to work with. I haven't got anything on the spine. The album is big. It's 9.5 inches by 12 inches. I've actually had to push the camera out. So let's just move the camera to there so you can see the edge of the table. I've actually had to pan out on the camera, but this is a 9.5 by 12.25 album, and it's got a 2.5 inch spine, so it's really big. It's got 6 pages inside. I'm just getting quotes on the paper, pre-cut paper, so I can have some prep for you. It will not have this join here. The join is only there because I was double checking the measurements before I submitted for a quote. So just going to put this to the side, and I'm going to sand around the edge of each page. So this one, I'm going to be sanding on this side because that is going to be tucked underneath. Okay, so I don't know if you want to have your pieces all cut and then quickly sand with me. I'm going to stop the sanding there, then I'm going to flip it over. And I'm going to sand that side and that section, in fact the whole of this underneath section, because you're going to see the whole of this. Whoops. So just pop your page along the edge like so. Okay, so that's page 1. We're going to have a score line going on there. The other side of page 1, we're going to have a flap. You're going to see the entire side of this one. And then this one is going to have a flap over, so let us just need to turn my phone on silent. Let us just okay, so we've done the whole of this side, and this is going to flap in like that, so we've done that part there. Putting them face down on the desk. Right, page 2 and 3, we are going to have page 2 there. This is going to be page 3. It's going to look like that. So we're going to sand along the outer edge only. So I wasn't going to do this with you, but actually I think it's quite important that we do it together so that you get the sanding. Alright, so that is page 2. On this side it's page 3, sorry. Page 2 offcut for page 3. And then this one, I'm just going to do top and bottom, because that's going to form the inner page. And then page 2, I'm going to do 3 sides. I'm not going to do the inner side. Okay, so that's page 2, page 3, the other half of page 3. Page 4 and 5, we're going to see the entire side of the stars, and we're only going to see the red side on the other side. So let's go around and, oopsie, this is page 4. So I'm not going to do the center, I'm going to do the side where the red is. Okay. So this album you're going to have a good couple of absolute double page layouts. That's page 4, and then I'm going to sand as well on the red side. We're going to see approximately 3¼ inches of the red. I could have chosen the blue. If you want the blue, then do the blue side. I want the 2 red sides sticking out. So I'm going to turn this one upside down. This is page 5. So just making sure it's going to go that way. Let's turn this around. So I'm going to sand those 3 sides. Okay, page 5. Page 6 and 7 are going to be joined like so. So let's put page 7 up. We're not going to do the inside because we want continuity of the pages. Page 7, page 6, we are going to have a score. I was going to cut this down, but you would lose too much of that. And then it's going to be folded in, so I'm going to go on this side and again we're going to do approximately 3¼ inches only. Right, so there's 6, there's 7, right, 8 and 9. I haven't quite decided how I want to do this. I didn't know whether I wanted to have a small strip on this side, so where the 3 is, and then have a small strip on the other page just to tie it in. So all I'm going to do to start with here is I'm going to sand just 3 sides, and I've done, so I've turned this into page 8, this into page 9, sorry, so let's just flip them around. And we've got 3 sides. Better write it into my notes as well that I flip them, because you know when it comes to typing up notes, oh my lordy, lordy, lordy. Okay, so there's page 8 and 9. I could still come in and cut and move across and whatever, but for now 8 and 9. 9 and 10, sorry, 8 and 9, 10 and 11 we're going to work on together as well. Okay, so this is 10. I should not have done that. Okay, so let's just switch 10 and 11 around, because I shouldn't have done that. I should have left those plain and just done the tops. Okay, so these two, I might be able to get away by just trimming a bit of that off, because I don't need all 6 inches. It's just my brain didn't feel like working out the minimum. Okay, so that's 10 and 11. It's going to be a lot more difficult to get in here to sand. Okay, that's done. This I don't mind having sanded the inside as well. Kind of lends itself to this piece. Maybe I should just sand the others instead of cutting them, because it's going to make it stand off the black, I think. Okay, so there's 10, there's 11. And then we have little old 12 over here, and we're going to have to use some pieces unless we decide to use another paper pack. So that would be 12, which I'm not going to do. And this is the back cover, which, like a silly fool, I cut down to 11 and 7/8, and it should be 12 inches. Okay, so 12 I have not prepared, but the rest I have prepared. Right, let's get rid of all that, and we are good to go with adding this to our album. So let's get my album. I'm just going to squish it flat, and I'm going to add this to the front of my album. This is piece number, it's called Head Honcho, it's PP 00604, and I've left it at 12 inches but cut it to 9, I don't think it's quite 9.5. It's 9 3/8. And you honestly, you can use whichever side you want. Now I think I've gone and used the wrong side. I think I wanted this coggy side up. Or did I want this side up? No, I wanted that side up. I'm just using my art glitter glue. I love this glue. If you're a newbie to album making, it's probably better to use something that's a little bit more forgiving. This is not very forgiving at all. Once it's down, it's down. I'm going to try and get a uniform sort of border all the way around. Not too sure what this is happening, what's happened here. But just remember, they are handmade albums, so every single album is different. They are not perfect, they're handmade. Okay. Right. Something in there that's, just be careful if you have an issue. You don't want to tear this. Right, the front inner cover is coming in. We're going to put this on our scoreboard. And I'm not sure why I set score at 2.5. Okay, so this is 12 inches by 12 inches, and I need a 9.5. I need a 9 3/8 inside. So I'm putting it face down. This is the side I want up, but I need to measure that side to be 9 3/8, which is there. So if I flip it over, okay, all right, so you could have done a 2 5/8, I think it's sitting at. But it was easier just to flip it over, so I put it face down on my desk and I've done 9 3/8. There it is there. I've done a 9 3/8 score line. So 9 3/8 or 3 5/8. And what I want to do with this one is I want to turn it into a pocket. Remember, we came and we did the inside of this page as well. I just need where did I put my, how do I lose things all the time? It's like, really? Okay, so my tape, and I'm going to use red tape for this. You could use glue as well. I'm going to put a small piece of tape along the edge there. There. And there. Okay, so that is going to be stuck like so, and it's going to flap open. Let's remove a bit of the tape. Just positioning it roughly in the middle. And there is our front and our cover done. And what that's going to do, let's put the lid on this until we need it again. What that is going to do is it's going to allow me to flap it, so it gives me extra space. And then also, where's one of my offcuts? You know, those millions that I have. It's going to allow me to take a tag. Oh no, it's not allowing me to put the tag in. There we go. And allow me to put something tucked in there. Okay, so front and the cover done. Page 1, we are going to do a similar thing. So you can see it all kind of lines up beautifully. We've got two options. We have sand it so that we can do it that way. You could also do it underneath. So these pages, if I remember correctly, are 8 7/8 of an inch. So we want to pop this little guy on our scoreboard, and we're going to score at 8 3/4. And you're going to fold it, and this little guy is going to fit perfectly on this first page. And we are going to have a flap. We get the continuity with that when it's open, but we also have a flap, so we have an opportunity to cover this with a bit of cardstock. Okay, if you want to, you can turn this into a pocket as well. I don't want to turn any more pockets. To me, this has got the perfect size album. I want to make this as universal as possible. This could be an album for the man in your life. It could be for your child, your son. Like I can imagine some really cool football photos, because there'll be a load of green in them. It could be for like BMX racing. It could be for, like, literally could be for anything. Okay, so that's page 1 stuck in. Page 2 is coming in from this side. So again, we're just going to stick it down. It could also be like really cool for like photos of cars, vintage cars. Page 2. Page 3. This is the piece from there, which we're going to pop to the end. When I cut these pages, I cut them on my big guillotine. I set it to 11 7/8. Got a bit carried away with the 11 7/8 and also did the back and a cover. But you see, like, there's continuity, they're all level. Right, page 4 and 5 we're going to work on together. Okay, so I'm flipping it onto my scoreboard so it is that way, because I need to do that 8 3/4, and I want it on the red. And on this one, we're going to do the same. 8 3/4. Right, and this is going to give us a double page layout. Okay, so that one's going to come in there, and this one, remember we flipped it upside down so that we get matchy. And again, if you want to, you can turn any of these into pockets if you've got extra stuff that you want to put in. Oops, got that a bit crooked, and this glue is not forgiving at all. So page 4 and 5. If you want the denim side up here, you're just going to make sure that when you score with the denim side up. Page 6 and 7. I'm going to stick page 7 down first because it's just a flat. Okay, so this one's just flat. Yeah, my eyes are bad. That's page 7. Page 6 is going on the scoreboard. And because I'm working to the page measurement, I'm just going to flip it upside down and score again at 8 3/4. So if it's not 8 3/4, it will be 1, 2, 3 1/4. Should do the trick. 3 1/4 will do the trick. I think I've got 3 1/4 in the notes. Oops, sorry, that was my scoreboard going AWOL. Taking a little tumble. Okay. You know what I was going to do? I was going to cut along there. Too late. Okay, so that's 6 and 7. Eight and 9 was the two that I did earlier, where I wasn't sure whether I was going to retain them just as 2 separate pages or whether I was going to cut a little bit from one and put on the other side. So I'm not actually going to do 8 and 9. I'm going to come back to those because I'm going to do 10 and 11 because I know exactly what I want to do with that. So I don't actually mind that white there. I don't mind the white. So I'm just going to pick up my sanding block and do the same on this one. So sometimes you make mistakes and you prefer it. Okay, so we're going to stick 10 and 11 together. If you prefer the wood grain, you're welcome to use it. I just thought this tealy color actually popped the other pieces. Okay, so you're sticking 10 and 11 down first. it will all make sense when you see what I'm doing. And then these two pieces that we cut, we're going to come in with one on the left hand side, like so, and one on the right hand side, if I can see where the page ends. But what I thought of doing is turning them into pockets. So what I'm going to do along here, and you can use glue or you can use tape. I'll do one with tape and one with glue, then you can see. So just turning my little zips. And then making sure that you line them up with the page. Okay, so that's the one using glue. Sorry, using tape. You must be looking going, no, she's cray cray. And this one we're going to put a blob of glue along the top, all the way along the edge and along the bottom. And I've stuck it on the wrong thing, which is why I don't use glue. Look at me. Thinking, geez, this is far out. Can't see the black where it finishes. Now you can see why I don't use glue, because I cannot see squat. Honestly. By the time I've got this in place, I think the glue would have dried. So let's see. I've got this excess glue that I've now put on. Fortunately it dries clear. So we will have this pocket on this side and a pocket on this side that is now not stuck down with glue, because yeah, this is going to be a problem. The glue had dried. This glue dries so quickly. So actually, in hindsight, let's just use tape. See, this side's going to come up. So what not to do when sticking your pieces down. Okay, so that gives us some options with pockets. Then we have page 12, which I don't have any full sheets left for or to use on. So I've got some bits, but again I'm going to come back to that. And then we are going to do the back page, which I have cut to 11 7/8 like an idiot, which I shouldn't have done. Oh. That one or that one? Ooh. I put this down for the back cover, but I think I prefer that. Okay, I'm just going to quickly sand. The thing with having a black album with these sort of colors is that the black kind of highlights it. I think I prefer that. You can decide what you want and use whichever side. That side or that side. I can't decide, really. I don't think we got much of this, so after all that I'm going to go back to this and just stick it down the way I had it. So when you come to do your sticking down, just position, sort of position it so it's in the center. Just remember also that you don't want anything over this fold. Alright, so we have got a couple of pages that are standing empty, one being page 8 and 9. And I'm still not sure whether I want to just keep them as separate or whether I want to move them across. And I'm thinking it would look nice if they were joined together. So in the notes, this is 8 and this is 9. I don't know if it matters. So let's take, this is, I should flip them. You're going to have a little piece of this. I'm going to cut it to 3 inches. And so this one, so I will change these around in the notes. This one, I'm going to cut to 3 inches on this side. Alright, so even with the sanding in the middle, I'm not too stressed about that. I could do that. It just gives it a bit of continuity. Okay, so let's stick down. We have a bit of sanding in the middle. Don't ask any questions, because originally I was going to put that on one side and the other on the other side. Okay, so we've got that there. Let's have a little bit of sanding on this one. Okay, let's stick down. Let's hope I can see the paper this time. As I'm getting older, gosh, it's harder and getting harder and harder to see on black. I remember when I was a pipsqueak and I was still teaching full time, and I had a friend who I was teaching with, and she's probably 20 years older than me, and she always used to ask me to thread her needle, and I used to chuckle. I'm not chuckling so much now, eh? I'm going to stick this one to the outside first. So as far as measuring goes, I'm not the biggest fan of measuring, but it has to be done. So what I did here is I cut each of these pages to 8 3/4 by 11 7/8. And then what I just did is I took a 3" off this side, 3" off this side, and a 3" off that side, if that makes sense. Okay, then let's flip over to page 12, and on this little guy, what I thought of doing is popping that one in there, and then this one I made an oops when I cut earlier, so I'm just going to have to join them together. But I think I have to cut this one down. Okay, so let's quickly sand. And I'm going to have to just pause the video quickly. Okay, so just finishing sanding. Sorry, Alice arrived and it was a bit noisy. So I'm sanding to the outside because I'd sanded that one, so I'm doing this one as well. And I was thinking of sticking that there so that the cogs kind of do their magic. Let's get this little bugger on. Okay. Now technically I think this should have been a single piece, but I had cut a piece incorrectly, so I'm sure that you will get the full piece out of this. So all I'm going to do with this one is sand top and bottom. And if you don't get the full piece out, then you can do the same as what I'm doing and just join the pieces together. By the time you put photos on it, you're not even going to notice. So we're going to need this to be 1 1/4 at a push, and it is currently sitting at, yeah, you should get it out. I'm trying to think which page I cut incorrectly, and I had to go back. It probably would have been easier to have put this one, okay, to the inside and had that one. So we're going to do 2 short sides, 1 long side. Dogs behaving badly. Sounds like monkeys. Right, and there we have our album covered. Now to do the embellishing, let's just go through it quickly. Front cover, opening to the front inner cover, we have that pocket, and we have a bit of black opening up, so we get that full effect. Onto page 2 and 3, so another almost double page layout, so it's almost 9 inches by 11 and so 18 by 11 and 3/4. Onto our stars and brick wall, so that's a pretty much a full double layout. Onto another one that's 3 inches short of a double layout, so we can get a lot done on here. into page, what is this, page 8 and 9, 10 and 11, 12, and our back cover. So an album is coming together nicely. Follow along on the next YouTube video for the embellishing.